Some may say it's because of content creation, how this narrative shift from making decent music to connect to an audience to having it posted countless of times on social media platforms in order to get engagement from that. Others may say if it's how music labels and other musically involved corporations like to take advantage of their artist, making them feel like a product and low-key screwing them over money. But I didn't say that. You know, music labels, if you want to sign me, you know, I got potential. There could be countless of reasons as to why people feel like mindless consumers. Wow, I was just stuttering the entire time. There could be countless of reasons why the general public can feel like mindless consumers in this day and age. But I might have an attention disorder. So, here's 3 reasons. Hey guys, I'm not joking. That test is expensive. Like, hella expensive. Did you see the price to get ADHD tested? Who the hell has money for that? In this video, I'll speak about the different aspects of music that can feel a little bit different than the era that was before, you know, before social media. And kind of make you feel like Kanye when he found out that Lady Gaga is like one of the CFOs or something of Polaroid. I don't know what a CFO is. Yeah. So let's begin with number 1. Music marketers. I don't even know why I was that ominous. It didn't need to be that ominous. But anyway, I think everybody has encountered an Instagram page of an artist that posts way too much on one single clip of that one part of their song and just said, how is this getting views? This is hella annoying. So you go and figure out like, hey, let me check them out on like Spotify or like YouTube Music or Apple Music. And you find out, yo, this kind of sucks. Not only does it suck, it barely has streams. But cut back to their Instagram page, they're getting numbers like crazy on views on Reels, on views on their posts, and stuff like that. And they're going on tours. Well, that's the power of music marketers. In influencer marketing, during the pandemic, you had people like Doja Cat, Don Toliver, Jack Harlow, who were blowing up off of their songs like Say So, No Idea, and What's Poppin'. It was in everyone's feed and in Fortnite. I couldn't avoid the Fortnite dances because damn, who are doing that? Who do that? Because of the repetition value of these songs, artists and music marketers saw the potential that social media management had on the general public. So they started pushing that more onto everyone's faces. That's why you saw it on everyone's feed, and that's why you very much couldn't avoid the TikTok music label. This was a very successful marketing strategy at its time, and we got a lot of mainstream artists that are very likable now. But that's the problem. That was back then. Beside popular belief, people like touching grass. People wanted concerts. People wanted vinyl signings. People wanted interviews. People wanted in-person relations with artists. And I don't mean in-person relations. I mean, like, you can actually see the personality of your artist rather than doing a funny little dance on the internet. TikTok views and Instagram views weren't making them into streams, and most of the time, it just kept them as the label a TikTok artist. So yes, nowadays you can't get Charli D'Amelio to do a dance and then it goes really viral. You kind of have to have good music, but the standard became that you have to post on social media. And a lot of the times when you post on social media, people feel like you're selling them a product rather than selling them your music. So if your only method is to post countless times on social media, you might not blow up. Sorry. Okay, maybe I'm being the Gordon Ramsay of music, being corporate, by blaming it solely on music marketing. Where's the lamb sauce? So let's stop blaming music marketers for music being too corporate and start blaming contracts by major labels. Now, in the music industry, labels are there to provide partnerships and financial aid in exchange for royalties for music. So basically, you make song. You look at your producer and say, it's finished. Producer says, cool, okay. You put them on the rights. Now, you go to the label. The label looks at song, says, song pretty good. I give you this amount of money to push your song in exchange for some of the profits of your song. So that's basically what that means. And yes, this may sound like all sunshine and rainbows, but it isn't. It is not. That's right. Labels will trap an artist with contracts to prevent them from releasing music or make them make music that they don't want to do. Yeah! Normally, this is to give the fans excitement and make them crave for the music so that when it does eventually come out, the fans were anticipating and you will automatically click on it. This can create long gaps in music and just physically drain an artist, I would like to say. It makes them push very mediocre music as well. And just to provide proof, an example of this is the Meghan Trainor. Oh yeah, we're going into her. But not just Meghan Trainor. No. Not just Meghan Trainor. We're going into Meghan Trainor and Ray. So, Ray is a British singing songwriter and producer that makes a variety of genres in the music industry. So, she kind of blew up in the dance pop scene. And during that time, she was under a label named Polydor. So she kind of blew up with You Don't Know Me. Yeah, that song. So with this kind of recognition with You Don't Know Me, the Polydor label decided that this was the only type of music that she was supposed to make. And that didn't sit right with her. She basically said, I have more in the tank and I can basically just divert myself from there. So songs like Prada and stuff like that, this was made after she left the label. You want to know how long she stayed in that label? 7 years. 7 years of not releasing music because the label wanted her to make the exact format of music as You Don't Know Me. Let me tell you, 7 years in online terms, that's like 70 years, to be honest. These kids will not remember you. They'll be like, who the heck is you? That's how kids feel about Soulja Boy nowadays. Soulja Boy, don't come after me. Now, luckily, she was able to leave that label, and in the 2020s, she just started blowing up again. Albums like 21st Century Blues. Yes, I did have to look at the script. 21st Century Blues and this album May Contain Hope were basically a stand-in, well, not a stand-in, a stable for the music industry. So nowadays, she has sold out her concerts. She has great music coming out. And like, just in general, she's one of the pop girlies that are going to solidify her position as a pop star in the next few coming years. Now, why do I say this about these albums? Well, if you must know, She has songs like Oscar-winning Tears, Escapism, Flip a Switch, Click Clack Symphony, Nightingale, and Where Is My Husband, just to name a few that are like more than 1 million streams on Spotify. Now let me paint a picture for you. Think of this. If Ray stayed in that label that was restricting her from releasing music, we would have never heard those two great albums. We would have never heard her. And that's a scary thought because the music label has that much power over an artist when they do sign onto them under a contract. Now, the worst part of this is that music labels often have NDAs. So during their artists stay in their labels, they can't even speak about it sometimes. They have written NDAs that they are non-disclosure agreements that they can't speak out against the label to the public. Many artists nowadays do because of freedom of speech and all that jazz, and maybe they didn't have that kind of an NDA signage on there, but it's a scary thought. So, because of this scary thought, just think. There are so many artists out there that we want to hear music from, but haven't released because their label is not letting them. And not only are they not letting them release, or they making them release like mediocre music, is because they can't speak about it. For you youngins who don't understand, that's like bringing cupcakes to the classroom and then saying, hey, I brought cupcakes, therefore I take all credit for this project. My brother in Christ, you ain't even in the room. Like, this is just sad, shawty. This is just sad. Now, I've already said that music labels can make artists push mundane, boring, and just mediocre music. And a good example of this, which is no diss to her at all, and I have, like, there's the whole internet talking about it right now, is Meghan Trainor. Good boy. Remember, no disrespect to her, but girl, what is this? What is this? Now to clarify, I think she's a talented songwriter. Her debut album is full of fun, and I still recommend it to people to this day. Her songs like All About That Bass, obviously, Dear Future Husband, like I'm Gonna Lose You, those were fantastic songs. And like even after her debut album, like No Excuses, Me Too, are great records. But that became her format. Unlike Ray, who wanted to dip her toes into every genre, Meghan Trainor kind of stayed in the All About That Bass era. Remember, All About That Bass was still during a time that it was mostly like old bouncy pop type music. And let's just say the internet has grown out of that right now. So music between the late 2010s and early 2020s were definitely shifting from nostalgic music to experimental music and going back and forth from there. It's not entirely her fault that she wasn't experimenting, but if you want to look back into this era in shift in funky pop versus experimental pop, let me tell you what she was still doing within the All About That bass era and what released during her releases. Let's see here. The Pandemic, Lady Gaga's Chromatica, Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia, Taylor Swift's Folklore, BTS Map of the Soul 7, Ariana Grande Positions, Miley Cyrus Plastic Hearts, Selena Gomez Rare, damn, Halsey Manic, damn, The Weeknd After Hours, damn, SZA SOS, Jesus, Beyonce Renaissance, and finally, the heavy hitter, Charlie XCX, Brat. Now, I named these albums because these artists are pretty much in the same genre as her, but we're still able to make it experimental and just try to shift from their last record. They were very much thinking outside of the box. Not to foment violence. That's a big word for Elmo. Trainer probably listened to the advice of her label that were telling her to stick to your guns. By that I mean, stick to what make you popular. All about the bass. And she just kept doing that over and over and over again. I personally think that she should have continued experimenting like what she did to the Moon. Now, I know it's a very Jersey beat that she took from like what was trending, but still, it was something new. I really like that song, and it showed that she's able to like experiment with her music. But then she went right back into that bouncy pop style music. Now, a good example of somebody who's had her there, a good example of somebody who had similar comeuppings as Meghan Trainor is Ed Sheeran. When you compare his album X and Divide, they sound similar but different enough. When you compare X and Divide, they're completely different records that are both engaging, but you can still identify them to be Ed Sheeran. X, his album that was released in 2014, focused on acoustic. X, his album in 2014. Jesus. Cut. Go. X, his album released in 2014, focuses on more acoustic and raunchy style music. Instead of following up with a different version of that record, he followed up with Divide, which is a more electronic pop type of music. It showed significant higher level in production rather than using his favorite raunchy aesthetics. It gave more from a traditional folklore type music to dance pop, electronic music is what I'm trying to say. So let's compare the two from Thinking Out Loud to Shape of You. Now, if Trainor were to make slight or drastic changes to her sound and basically not listen to her label, I feel like we would have gotten more traditional yet inspiring music from her that isn't the same pushy type of wide audience grabbing music. Because at some point, your audience kind of always know that, hey, this ain't you. So I really think that her career can continue her longevity, because let's just say there are still fans of Trainor. This is not to diss her at all. I just don't think that if she continues this format of music, she's going to, go further. So that's the only thing. Also, her marketing team sucks. Because what is this? Explain this. What type of Sabrina Carpenter dupe is this? Girl, fire your producer. Now, we can blame marketing and labels to sound more draining than an influencer trying to sell you a $300 course on how to be a jerk. But we kind of gotta look at the people, the audience, the consumers. God dang, that's gonna get annoying very quickly. I'm just saying. Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent is all the blueprints you need to be a superstar. But there's an aspect that nobody can control. This aspect is so unique, so unpredictable, so uncontrollable that even billionaires are trying to put billions to figure out the right pattern. And that is public opinion. Now, my view on this topic is pretty nuanced and kind of like basic. As somebody who is training by themselves to be an artist, because I got big plans. The basic thing is that the public wants nostalgia. Yeah, let's talk about it. Before I talk about nostalgia, AI and nostalgia-driven music. So let's start with the big one, AI. I think everybody on the internet knows every artist hates AI, deaf to AI when it comes to creative spaces. Let me lightly touch up on it. Up and coming artists are finding it hard to compete with these AI artists when it comes to putting their music on streaming platforms. An example of this big competition between human and AI music is the song I Run that charted all the way to number 25, I think, on Spotify Global 100. And let's just say the public didn't know it was AI assisted. Mind you, keyword assisted. So people started realizing that the vocals kind of sounded like Georgia Smith. And let's just say Georgia Smith did not know that her vocals were being used. Neither did she record them. After being pressed about the matter, the artist Haven stressed that he used AI to produce female vocals for the song without asking the artist to do it. And let's just say AI has a history of plagiarizing artwork, so they plagiarized her voice, basically. Now, this basically permanently damaged Haven's success as an artist, as they haven't been able to make another song. Actually, they haven't been able to reach the same audience that they did for I Run. So, well-deserved, kind of, I guess. Now, another artist that claims to use AI as a tool, because Haven also said that they were using it as a tool, but another artist that said that they were using AI as a tool for music is Teddy Swims. Lose control. That guy. According to ABC.net News, Teddy Swims in an interview said that instead of recording something over and over again in many different ways that would take months, he just puts it through AI to listen to it in like different versions, in different genres, so that the process would be faster. So basically, he explains that AI can change his lyrics in many different ways than he could have ever thought of, which, pardon me for saying, isn't that the whole point of music production? I'm just saying. So you're telling me that I know music is a business, right? And like, it's time consuming when you actually have to like sit down and write a song. Because everybody thinks that songwriting is the easiest thing in the world. Newsflash, it isn't. So instead of actually being into the creative space to input your emotions, what you are feeling, into paper, you want to go to an AI to reimagine something a computer isn't able to do, is imagine things, to reimagine something in a different genre, in a different lyric for you. At that point, you ain't writing the song, buddy. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Reimagining something takes creativity. AI can't do that. You are taking people's stolen work, putting into your own work to make garbage. Oh my God. I swear, it'll be the most talented people because he has a great voice and he can use it. But my brother uses AI. He uses AI. Sad, man, sad. I'm not going to throw a bunch of tomatoes at Teddy Swims just because time is a factor. I understand that time is very consuming when it comes to music production. For some people, it could take 3 minutes to write a song. For others, it could take 10 months. I understand. But at least, in my opinion, it came from a person. A person you can connect with, a person you can relate. but those are my opinion. Now, the whole tool argument when it comes to using AI for music production is kind of baseless, just because AI is being trained by different artists according to labels giving them the rights to do so. So when the whole tool argument comes in, it basically uses other people as tools. So Kehlani has spoken out about it. Well, Kehlani's really the only one that I know has spoken out about it. But yeah, so artists are figuring out that AI is taking their voices, taking their style of work, and basically just giving it to other people in a different style. But that's not reimagining, that's plagiarism. So let's say ChatGPT wrote your whole essay and you just pressed rewrite to sound human. That's basically all that it is. Also, I would like to say, isn't it fun to explore as an artist? I mean, I haven't reached that point yet. I'm still trying to train my voice to sound decent because I can't sing yet. I lose control. Like, I can't sing yet. But the whole point of music is that it's experimental, that you can search and find different styles. You can take the bad reviews and turn them into lessons and mix and master different things and just have a good time about it. Because it came from a person. It came from creativity. It came from the beautiful, wonderful creation of the mind. Okay? Moving forward, there's also another aspect that the public opinion has on music, which doesn't involve AI. It's nostalgia-driven music. Now, I would just like to say that I love a lot of nostalgia-driven music. So, things that kind of are reminiscent of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s are very in style here in 2020. Everybody's like, ooh, shiny thing when it comes to music. They'll be like, oh, this was sampled from this time, or this dance move. I mean, Michael Jackson is back on the charts. So people are very, very particular into nostalgia-driven music. An artist that is doing it right, because there's a certain platform and a certain way you can market your nostalgia-driven music, because I'm not saying that nostalgia-driven music is bad. No, I think it's fantastic, but I still think that it needs to be different. And an artist that does that well is Bruno Mars. He kind of thrives on taking people back to an era that inspired him as a kid. So he has sound like Uptown Funk that is reminiscent of Motown. You have things like, what's that one song? Finesse, that is very reminiscent of the early 90s to late 80s. You have even the pop rock type of era. I think a lot of his performances show that. Let's just say like Silk Sonic. So Silk Sonic was very much reminiscent of the 70s and just showed very good visuals of what it used to be back when Motown was at the top of its game. But because of Bruno's, I feel like from 2015 onwards, we never really grew out of that phase. Everybody wants to take you back to early 2000s. Everybody wants to take you to late 90s. Everybody wants to take you back somewhere. And sometimes you're just here going, I need to move forward, okay? Move forward. Because I have to reiterate this every time. I'm not particularly mad about it. Again, there's a lot of nostalgia-driven music that I love, but I'm low-key getting tired of in recent stuff. Obviously, when I will make my own music, there will be some nostalgia-driven records with references, but it won't be my own leap form of making music. You get me? But the reason why I bring this up is because it creates a comparison culture from comparing music from now from before. So kind of creating like a heated rivalry between the two. Whoa, no, not that kind of heated rivalry. Like taking Victoria Monet and Ciara. Both are similar in age, but both kind of grew up in the same kind of environment of music, but they both create like separate types of music that are in the same genre. But the thing that always gets me online, that I see in comments, that I see everywhere is, oh, Victoria Monet kind of sounds like Ciara. Oh, brother. So let me bring it back for you. Ciara started off as really strong onto the scene. Her debut album, Goodies, is still popping and locking in this era. She's a singer, she's a songwriter, she's a dancer, she's a performer. But so is Victoria Monet. Many people keep saying that Victoria Monet is the new Ciara. With her records of Jaguar 2 and Jaguar, she focuses on bouncy R&B music. And that's the issue. The issue with that is that people are just labeling off Jaguar and Jaguar 2 as 90s inspired music from Ciara, when really they don't sound similar to me at all. Like, park the bus. Park your buses right now. Listen to this. And then listen to this. Do they sound similar? I think the heck not. And mind you, Ciara is 40 and then Victoria Monet is 37. They're not that far in age. So they were growing up in the same environment of music, I would like to say. And they were just exposed to similar artists. So the way that they make music could be because of that, but still they don't sound the same. So stop comparing them and then just labeling Victoria Monet off as the new Ciara when she's her own artist. So let's take it back to music theory. So Victoria Monet's On My Mama, yes, which is very, very nostalgia driven. I know, we don't talk about that. Which is in G major, does not sound the same as Ride, which is the same key. But that's my opinion. All right, let me sit you down. Let me tell you something. Something that is nuanced. This opinion comes from me. This has never been said on the internet before. Are y'all ready for this? You ready for this? This opinion is the best opinion I'll ever hear. Drum rolls, keep going. You should subscribe to my channel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you should subscribe, and that is my nuanced opinion. I will make a lot of content in the next coming months and the next year, and I really need some engagement over here. I pray that you really like my content and you would stay with me until I reach that milestone. We want to reach 50 million subscribers. Yeah, I know, big goal, but I know with you guys, because you're just beautiful, awesome people, that you will subscribe and be my family. But anyways, enough with the jokes, but my nuanced opinion is, I think people are not having fun with music. I feel like we've all become critiques? I think we all became music critics in the music scene, and sometimes you just want to like music, because I think with the flow of social media, it's just been very much, if the public doesn't like this, then I don't like it either because X, Y, and Z. But sometimes you have your own preferences. And I think stan culture and fan culture has really shifted from, if we all don't like this, then we won't push it to other people. And that's really detrimental to the artists that are similar to Frank Ocean, that can't push their music out because of that. So my final message for this video is explore music. Discover music for yourself. Critique it for yourself, like I did. And keep an open mind to other music. Go back to it. Listen to it now. And then a year from now, listen to it again. See if you still don't like it or something changed about it. Anyways, I love you guys. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment because you know I'll respond. And stay blazing. Kisses to my exes. That's the cringy part.